Are you really clean? Or do you need to know how to have good hygiene? Ooh, if you're unclean, do I really want you here watching this video? Well, we're quite a distance away. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to have good hygiene. So stay and watch until the end. We'll wrap it all up and make it as easy as possible, day to day, where you can keep clean. And why is it important to be clean? Well, because if you're not, you smell. I'm not saying you smell. No, I might smell, but the reality is I've actually had a shower. But that's just one part of the hygiene. Because it's a part of actually personal growth, believe it or not, to be self-disciplined enough to actually clean yourself and have good hygiene. It even delves into our spirituality, believe it or not. Without going too deep, connections with our inner selves can be lost when we actually spend an awful lot of time away from just attending to ourselves. And that's what hygiene really is. There has to be a motivation behind making sure that we have repetition in cleaning ourselves in order to have a hygiene culture within ourselves. There has to be a long-term motivation. One of the things that really, I suppose, we need to pin to the mast with regard to our motivation, our long-term goals of having and how to have good hygiene entirely, is that, well, people basically that, I suppose, have good hygiene actually have attractiveness. Oh yes, they do. They have attractiveness. Now, why is that important to be attractive? Because if you're attractive, think about it for a single second. If you're a single person right now and you're watching this and you're wondering, how do I get a girlfriend? How do I get a boyfriend? How do I attract the opposite of sex? Well, be clean, be hygienic. And not just that, but be hygienic all of the time. Consistency in a world gone mad. It's really important. Think of it. If you are going to a night spot, a nightclub, if you are actually wanting to attract somebody, the very first thing they say is pheromones. A good thing. Yes, it is a good thing, but the reality is it ain't going to happen in a split second with regard to having overly, well, 3-day, 4-day smell off you pheromones. I'm talking about freshness is okay. Do you want stale bread? Nobody wants stale bread around them. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. Watch it till the end, because that's where the good stuff is. So everybody should really shower or bath every day in general. This is the reality. And there are times, well, when you need to shower or bathe a little bit more, believe it or not, than 1 or 2 times a day. If you're a professional athlete, then you need to make sure you're clean a couple of times a day. And, well, all of the time really, but you might actually have to shower or bathe 2 or 3 times a day. Every time you sweat or have exercise going on, please make sure you bathe or shower. You might actually feel drips of perspiration coming off your brow, but it doesn't really matter. There is something going on underneath your arms and in other crevices. Not going to tell you where, not going to show you why or how. It's not up to me, it's up to you to figure it out. And the easiest way to figure it out is get that shower or bathe. So people just doing things like outdoor things like camping, believe it or not, if you're doing something outside your routine, if you're going into the wilderness, no, not many people do, but if you do a lovely thing called camping, you're quite often, say for example, short of water, and you need to be able to bathe. So you can bathe outside in a lake, in a river. It's the same way if your country, if your place there has a water restriction. Often people do have that. And with, I suppose, global warming, climate control and so on, we need to be a bit more considerate of how much water we actually use. So we need to actually know exactly the parts of our physical body where we have to, well, spend most time in scrub-a-dub-dub land. And how do we scrub-a-dub-dub? We scrub-a-dub-dub with soap and other hygiene products. So a swim outside, believe it or not, will alleviate a lot of that. It's going to get all that grime off our systems, out of our systems and off our bodies. And plus, Salt water is very good for you. I'll tell you about that perhaps in another video. But reality bites. Okay, you're going to smell a little bit maybe of salt water. But if you go to a clean, open, ocean-type water, fresh water is wonderful for your senses as well as other things. But just even swimming will essentially clean yourself, because your armpits are open. If you're doing that freestyle stroke, your arms are just doing the job for you. But remember too, if you go too far into the water and if you go too far into the swimming, you're actually sweating again. So you might feel the sweat. Why? Because there's water around you already. There's an ocean of water. So you need to be aware that you are sweating, even though you don't pop your head up in the water on a nice hot day and stand with the water maybe up to your waist and realize that there's not like pourings of sweat coming from your armpits. Doesn't mean to say that you're not sweating. You're under the water, you're in the water, and it's happening. So hygiene is very, very important, even if you just swim as an activity. Brushing teeth is another thing after each meal. We have to be really careful about this. Different cultures, different people, different diets. They brush maybe a couple of times a day. Different dentists even say maybe that you could wear away even your enamel in your teeth by brushing too frequently, or brushing in a incorrect manner. And this is kind of true. Some people can't take, for example, hard toothbrushes. They need soft toothbrushes. Or some people, especially young children, they might lack the motor skills to be able to brush properly. And so what happens is they erode their gums at times, which is an awful thing to do. So in trying to actually practice good hygiene, you eventually actually erode what's there to protect and encase your teeth. So we need to have the proper brushes and equipment and the proper toothpaste as well. And some people are allergic, believe it or not, to these things as well. And gum diseases can come, and decay can come over time as well. But knowing how many times to brush those pearly whites and make them pearly white and keep them pearly white and protect them is really important. General rule is to brush after each meal. But remember too, if you take some candy, you know that song, I love that song. Give me some candy. No, I'm just going to continue on. Candy or sugar, fructose. This is the thing that's going to rot right through those pearly whites. You've got to keep away from it. A little secret I was told one time that I'm not going to share was from a lovely dental nurse, and they said, so what do you eat? Do you eat sugar? Nope. I said, well then you don't need to go to the dentist. If you want to stay away from the dentist, stay away from sugar. Sugar is going to kick you in the, well, not in behind, but the behind of your teeth. Keep hygienic. Washing your hair. Soap or shampoo. Who washes their hair with soap? Really? Lots of people. Believe it or not, it will actually clean. In certain ways it will clean. Okay, it mightn't look as smooth or as delicate as you would have with the specialist shampoos out there, the range of shampoos, and I just don't have, well, time or extreme expertise to tell you about the specifics of all those shampoos. But basically, soap or shampoo at least once a week will start you into a good hygiene technique as such. But really and truly, if you're exercising, if you are in hot weather, if you get your hair wet, remember there's toxins coming out of that rain, you need to actually wash your hair more frequently than once a week as well. Soap, water on the hands. Look, the coronavirus, remember that? The coronavirus, how could you not? The world had never seen anything like it before. Sporting events were closed down for the first time since World War II. Imagine that, the Masters in golf, World War II, the early 1940s, late 1930s, and there we have it. Imagine with this huge acceleration of medicine over the next 80 years or so, and then you had the coronavirus traveling all around the world like an email bounces from computer to computer, from account to account, as quick as that, all around the world. And yet a simple thing like washing our hands. Every one of the 4 billion people plus, if we all wash our hands frequently, we would have better hygiene and we would have killed that virus quicker. So washing our hands is so important, at least 20 seconds in washing our hands. Preparing food, oh my gosh, we all need food. We all need fresh food. So preparing food, we need to wash our hands and wash the surfaces around the food. We need to make sure that they are completely and utterly clean. We need to clean as we go. This is a huge thing with hygiene, not just with food, but cleaning as we go. Picking up something. If you go into a room, if you want to watch a movie and you bring with you a pizza and you bring with you a can of Coca-Cola and you bring with you some other little bitty piece of food, and you come in with your dirty clothes on, you take off your top and you throw it on a couch and you go on the other couch. If you're so willing to have two couches, well done to you. And then you eat a bit of the pizza, you get full and you're watching it and you're throwing back the Coke and you're doing all these things, that's fine. And then you just go to bed. Well, it's a treat. I'm not going to say anything. You may have succeeded. Well done to you if you have. You deserve that treat. But you get up in the morning, go out the door and you go to work. That pizza is doing something. There is something happening right there. There's uncleanliness happening. Where did you put your fingers and your hands all the way after handling that pizza? The Coke, the sugar is there. It may have spilled. We need to clean it. We need to have those surfaces clean. Better than, in that example, to clean as you go. Take a slice of pizza or two. Have a wipe beside you. Have hygienic products beside you. As soon as you have that pizza finished, put the pizza board into the bin. Wrap it up and put it in the bin. Take the food particles out of it, the last slice or so, and put it into compost or a food bin. Have a pet to eat it, and put the Coke where it needs to go, in the sink if you finish it. Wash out the box or the can and put it into a recyclable, perhaps a recyclable bin. That's really responsible, not just for your own hygiene, but for other people's hygiene too. Ward off the germs. This is where viruses come from. We mentioned the coronavirus. We need to be hygienic. It's not just for yourself, it's for other people too. Dirty clothes is another thing, believe it or not. Clothes will take actual fragments and germs within them. Even though we can wash our hands and stuff, if you're using the same clothes every day, day in, day out, and you're going for two different places, and you're spending time with different people, sitting in different environments, lying in different environments, these cottons, these modern fabrics within clothes, they all have very minuscule type of germs clinging to them. You need to wash them before you re-wear them. The sun's rays, believe it or not, will kill some disease-causing germs and parasites. So get out in the sun and make sure this will clean you. If you're sneezing, you need to have a tissue. And please sneeze into your elbow if you do not have a tissue or a handkerchief. There was a wonderful old thing in olden times where handkerchiefs were common. You could actually have your own types of initials on your handkerchiefs. You could do things with your handkerchief like tricks, magic tricks. They were popular. Get back into using a handkerchief, but remember, it is needed to be washed every day, or ideally every time after you use it. Toilet hygiene, we could go on and on and on. Scrub-a-dub-dub, use the soap. Make sure your hands, fingernails, toenails are cut and they're kept clean. There are other areas of your body you need to keep clean, not just that. That's just the start of it, but do it regularly. The main thing here is, the main point with our hygiene and how to keep ourselves hygienic is to remember that we need to do it at least once a day, all of these things. And we need to do them if we exercise, if we travel around, we need to do them regularly. Make sure too that you are the beacon of hygiene, because that is the beacon of attractiveness to others. That is the main point. So until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already, please do hit that button. Until next time, have a wonderful day.